Thank you very much. Welcome to the second segment of our two-day workshop. I believe we had an enjoyable lunch.
Yeah.
And we are now back for another session. Please remember to say amen as you pray this afternoon, because I know some people listen better with their eyes closed. We'll make the session as lively as possible so that we don't sleep. Leadership is an essential tool in as far as school management is concerned. But for you to be a leader, there must be some followers. We can't define the term leadership in isolation, leaving out followers. And good leadership breeds sound governance of our institutions. We are inviting to the podium Mrs. Nkomo from Manicaland Diocese to lead us in the discussion on leadership styles and their impact on governance. I would like us to pay attention to the second part. It says leadership styles and their impact on governance. Mrs. Nkomo, we invite you.
Thank you very much. Let's put it on Manicaland register, Harare, National Zimbabwe. Please, can I have those registers? Thank you.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. All protocol observed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name starts with a Q. I am Kubabona Nkomo, coming from Bulawayo in Manicaland. I meant to film the presentation, but the laptop we got failed us. I'm not sure whether we can get another which can assist us, because anyone who is willing to assist us with their laptop, kindly assist us. No one is willing to help, then I'm going straight into the... Yes, we do have a stick. My co-presenter. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm looking at the leadership styles. try to beam us. I'll go straight into the presentation. Starting off with the transformational leadership. By description, it is a leadership style in which leaders inspire, motivate, and empower their followers to achieve extraordinary outcomes and in the process develop their own leadership capacity. And its characteristics are idealized influence. Here we are saying the leaders act as role models, demonstrating high ethical standards and gaining trust and respect of their followers. Second characteristics, inspirational motivation. Leaders articulate clear and a compelling vision, motivating and energizing followers to pursue their goals. Characteristic number 3, there is intellectual stimulation, where leaders encourage creativity, innovation, challenging followers to think critically and solve problems in new ways. And the last characteristic is there is individualized consideration in transformational leadership. The leaders provide personalized support and mentorship, recognizing each follower's unique needs and potential. And I think the impact there on this type of leadership is that there is generally improved school culture, teacher motivation, and strategic change. Are we winning, gentlemen? Not yet. All right. For the activity on that type of leadership, we will refer to those 4 key components, and then I have the following questions on the 4 characteristics. I think we are winning there. Yes, those are the characteristics. And then for the questions, instead of each of us writing down the question, perhaps your neighbor, you write the first question, your neighbor writes the second one, and then the third question, so that you don't take a lot of time on activity 1. Because activity 1 is saying, we read the 4 key components of transformational leadership, and then look at these questions. Number 1, which of these 4 components do you naturally exhibit in your leadership style? Do you exhibit idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, or individualized consideration? And then, which components do you find most challenging or less present in your daily practice? Of the 4, which one do you think is challenging? And then the last question would be, provide a specific example from your recent work that illustrates each component. If you struggle to find one, note that. So that will be all on transformational leadership style. We look at the characteristics and then reflect on the questions that are being right on the screen there. I think at the end of my presentation, I'll ask anyone to pick any question and give us an answer. Pick any question from the leadership style and give us an answer. And then we move on to number 2, transactional leadership. This focuses on the exchanges or transactions between leaders and followers. In this approach, leaders provide clear expectations and goals, and followers are rewarded or disciplined based on their performance relative to these expectations. And the features there are the rewards. The leaders clarify what is expected and provide rewards like praise, bonuses, or even on speech days, the teachers are praised when they meet or exceed those expectations. And then there is active management by exceptions. Leaders will closely monitor followers' work and step in to correct problems or deviations from the standard as they arise. And then there is also passive management by exception. Leaders intervene only when standards are not met or when problems become serious. And then the impact there would be there is stability but limited innovation. It is useful for discipline and policy enforcement. So if you compare the first type and this one, you will realize that this one is useful, especially where we have those that need to be disciplined and for policy enforcement. And then the second activity on transactional leadership would be, we are looking at those main elements and then the reflection questions. In what situations do you use or reward or consequence systems with your staff? When do we use this type of leadership style? How do you monitor and respond to staff performance and adherence to school policies? How is that done in our schools? And then the last question, can you recall a specific instance where you managed by exception? What was the outcome? It's unfortunate, I don't know most of you by name. If you were in my class, I was going to say, so and so give us the answer to question 1. But I will point at people at the end of the presentation. Then number 3, instructional leadership. This is a leadership style in which the primary focus is on improving teaching and learning within the school. Instructional leaders or other educational administrators prioritize development, support, and supervision of effective instructional practices that lead to student achievement. And its characteristics are setting clear goals, supervising and supporting teaching, promoting a positive learning environment, using data to drive improvement, and building a collaborative culture that is encouraging teamwork among staff and involving teachers in decision-making processes related to curriculum and instruction. And then its impact there, we are saying it leads to improved teaching quality, stronger academic culture, best student outcomes, and professional growth for teachers. And then for the activities there, we are looking at the characteristics, and then after looking at the characteristics, we look at these questions. In which of these areas do you feel most confident? Which area do you believe needs more attention in your school? And then lastly, share a recent example where you directly influenced teaching and learning. That would be on instructional leadership. And then the last one is servant leadership. That was touched in the morning. I'm sure if we were listening, I don't need even to go through what I heard. It is a leadership style that prioritizes serving others, especially team members, employees or followers, before focusing on personal or organizational goals. Servant leaders emphasize empathy, listening, stewardship, and the growth of a well-being of those they lead. And its features are empathy and listening, stewardship, empowerment and growth, fostering community. They promote a sense of belonging, collaboration, and a shared purpose within a team or organization. Ethical behavior. Servant leaders operate with integrity, humility, and a strong sense of moral responsibility. And the impact of this type of leadership is that there is high trust, stronger community engagement, and an empowered staff. And then the activity there, the questions are, how do you currently demonstrate empathy and active listening with staff and students? The second one, in what ways do you empower others and support their growth? And then the last one, share an example where you prioritized the needs of others above your own objectives. Yes.
Thank you, Kubani. Ladies and gentlemen, can we just show by raising our hands those of us who are blessers? If I blesser. Thank you. We do have blessers in the house. Those of us who are senior teachers. Thank you. I'm not going to be writing down your names. Those of us who are deputies, deputy heads, sure, and then school heads. Right, I'm not yet done. Principals, rectors in charge. Is there another category I've left out? Chaplains? Chaplains? Thank you. Archdeacons and education secretaries. Right. As you reflect on what has just been said and respond to those questions, please consider your role in management. If you're a BESA, we know your responsibilities. So respond accordingly to your field. For senior teachers, we know what happens. Also reflect on that, focusing on your role as a senior teacher. As we go on those different categories, we know the people are there, you're all raising hands. So at the end of it all, we expect to get just a bit of feedback from all those sections. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mafa. And then, in conclusion, each leadership style uniquely shapes the school environment. It influences student success and determines the nature and depth of community engagement. And then the most effective school leaders often blend these styles to meet their school's specific needs, fostering a positive culture, strong outcomes, and vibrant community connections. And then, well, I have just one scenario. It reads, your school has recently experienced a drop in student achievement and a decrease in parental involvement. Staff morale is mixed. You are tasked with leading a positive change. The questions that follow are, which leadership style or combination would you use to address these challenges? And then, how would you adapt your style to positively impact school culture, student outcomes, and community engagement? Lastly, what specific actions would you take? There is a drop in student achievement and a decrease in parental involvement. Staff morale is mixed. You are tasked with leading a positive change. Can we try and answer the questions? Which style or a combination of style would you use to address the challenges? Number one, drop in student achievement. What would you do?
This is a common, I'm not taking over. May I suggest one thing? This road here, case scenario reflection is, your school has recently experienced a drop in student achievements. Abantu kwana base a decrease in parental environment involvement. Parents have lost interest in the school. Staff morale is mixed. Or rather diluted. You are tasked to lead, you are tasked with leading positive change. You know, your case scenario reminds me when I was given in school for the first time. Down in Wonder Valley. The district staffing officer said, we are giving you this school, which is almost dying. Go and make the school to rest in peace. So that it dies peacefully. There was such a situation. Pass rate was poor. The staff morale was poor. The parents were no longer interested in the school. My friend here, Mr. Pete, also gave us the same example. What was it? Can you speak louder? He was tasked to go and monitor the closure of his school smoothly. And now the question is, you are tasked with leading positive change. Those who are here. What leadership style or combination would you use to address the challenge and justify the use of leadership style? We are talking about corporate governance. We are talking about the impact of leadership styles on corporate governance. This group here, let's look at how we would adapt your style because the new impact school culture, student outcomes, and community engagement. There are many variables that are contained in the second task that we have there. Lastly, this end here. What specific actions would you take? It's not just one action. Let us talk. Yes.
Can you kindly screen the slide, the first slide on transformational leadership?
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to assist you, our technician there is going to post this presentation to me. Then I will also post to the education secretaries, and the education secretaries will post to the various institutions. Right. We are doing just
We are done now. Can we hear the responses Your question is, which leadership style or a combination would you use to address the challenges cited there? From the far end, zero, you use all of them, or none? Nothing. Yes, sir.
We use a transformational servant hybrid, combination of the two. Transformational servant hybrid to address the challenges.
Okay.
I'm saying we can use the transformational servant hybrid, the combination of the two to address the problem or the challenges.
There is no wrong answer, there is no wrong answer, all answers are correct. Maybe some bit of justification would suffice, or we will be answering question 2. Why would we use the transformational? Why not instructional? Why not the other one? There is a gentleman behind you. You can pass the mic to you.
Thank you very much. Personally, I will use the four styles. Each one has a role to play in the motivation, because there is need to change the mindset of the learners and to change even the mindset of the parents.
Thank you very much. Then we can then move on to the second question. How would you adapt your style to positively impact school culture, student outcomes, and community engagement? Thank you. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you. We will adopt a sort of servant leadership that was mentioned by the Lord Bishop Eric, which is community engagement, staff engagement, and student engagement. It is called, according to John Maxwell 2010, teamwork. Bring all groups together, forming teamwork. According to John Maxwell 2010. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other response from this floor? Then we can move on to the last question. What specific actions would you take this side? What specific actions would you take to improve the drop in students' achievement, a decrease in parental involvement, and the moral that is low? Do we have a taker? What specific actions would you take?
Thank you. I would empower teachers to take ownership and lead initiatives. I would also lead by example, sharing passion and commitment to the school's mission. I would also I would empower even the parents. Maybe communicate the vision to the learners and staff as well as the parents to have change. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Any other response? I think there is. Yes, ma'am.
I I will start by involving the teachers. As a team, we share the vision, the mission, what is it that we want, the type of school that we want to build. Then in turn, the teachers are going to be directly involved with the learners. They do the same at class level. And the moment parents start seeing change within the school, they will get involved as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This situation is very tricky, and it depends on whether you are coming in as a new head or a head who wants to transform issues in the school. Because in actual fact, you as the head could actually be the problem. And at times it's very difficult to change situations when you are the problem. So in any case, I would take it this way. As a head, whether you are new or you are old in the school, you just need to make sure that you make a research. A research is very important so that you establish the causes of low pass rates, staff disgruntlement, and things like that. Then you can now move on to look at the leadership styles that you can take on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Right, and then order one or two more responses, then we move on. There's the
Okay, I think if the starting point is to diagnose the problem. So that we identify the specific issues that have led the school into that situation. Because you cannot prescribe a solution without knowing the baseline issues that have led the school to reach that level. Then thereafter, you can choose the strategies and tactics to deal with the specific problems that we have identified. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is about all. And then the last part of my presentation is on the best practices. I'll just run through them now that they are going to be shared. Best practices, adapting leadership styles for effective school governance. Number one, balance flexibility with consistency. And then there is an insight there and application. No single leadership style fits all situations. Effective heads assess the context, such as staff needs, school challenges, and governance priorities, and then adapt their approach as needed. Number two, application. Blend transformational leadership to inspire change, transactional to ensure accountability, instructional for teaching excellence, and servant leadership for community building. Number two, align leadership with vision and values. The insight there, governance is most effective when leadership styles reinforce the school's vision, mission, and values. Application. Use transformational leadership to articulate and rally stakeholders around the school's vision, while upholding transparency and ethical standards from servant leadership. Number three, foster collaborative decision-making. Effective governance requires input from diverse voices. Application, employ servant and instructional leadership to empower staff, students, and parents to participate in decision-making. Committees and decision-making committees and school improvement planning. Number four, differentiate supports and accountability. Governance includes both supporting staff and holding them accountable. Application, use instructional and servant leadership to mentor and develop staff, transactional leadership to clarify expectation and ensure policies are followed. Number 5, communicate clearly and frequently. Governance relies on strong communication channels. Application combines transformational, visionary, and transactional clear guidelines communication for updates, expectations, and changes, ensuring everyone is informed and engaged. Number 6, be data informed and responsive. Good governance uses evidence to drive decisions. Application, adopt instructional leadership by using data to identify needs and measure progress while being open, servant leadership, to feedback from all school stakeholders. Number 8, build trust and ethical foundation. Trust is essential for effective governance. Application, practice servant leadership to demonstrate integrity, fairness, and care, creating a culture where governance decisions are respected and supported. Number 8, model lifelong learning. Effective leaders adapt as governance changes or evolve, or challenges as governance challenges evolve. Application, continuously reflect on your approach, seek feedback, and engage in professional development to refine your leadership practices. And in conclusion, adapting your leadership style to fit the needs of your school and its governance goals will lead to a more effective, inclusive, and resilient educational environment. Flexibility, self-awareness, and commitment to continuous improvement are key to supporting governance through your leadership practices. I thank all of you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nkomo, for the presentation, for facilitating the topic on leadership that promotes effective governance. I like the word inclusive. It reminds me of the inclusive government. Didn't we enjoy it? Once we talk about inclusivity, we are talking about leaving no one behind. And no one was left behind those days. But she was talking about inclusive leadership. Which is very instrumental in promoting good school governance. You know, the leadership styles that we apply every day in our schools, yes, they are good. But I strongly feel we must take a leaf from the discussions we are having here, so that we'll say, from that workshop, our school will never be the same again. The workshop we had at Pico Hotel, our schools will never be the same again. Allow me to invite Reverend Bembele to move a word of thanks for the presenter.
Thank you, Ma'am Nkomo. Well, I didn't want to pronounce the first name in case I may twist my tongue. Thank you very much for taking us through the leadership styles. 4 leadership styles that you gave us: transactional, transformational, instructional, and servant leadership. You went on to also interrogate our minds and asking us questions that will set our mind on how we lead the flock that we have, how we lead and influence, motivate those whom we work with to attain the set goals and vision. Thank you very much, men. You also gave us the best practices, which you also gave us the insight and the application. Men, come on. Thank you very much. Now, when we were seated there, when you asked us about the types of leadership, probably one might use. Apparently, I was flanked by clergy. What they say is, us as a priest, we will simply touch the head of the headmaster and pray for the headmaster, that the Lord our God will give him a vision to think properly for the challenges ahead of the school. And thank you.
What a prayer. What a prayer for the heads of schools. Thank you so much. Our partner ZB has got a part to show with us. Or what do you say?
Allow me to say Pachipamwe. For those who remember, last year when we were in Mashingo, I said at ZB or with the ZB, you will never walk alone. That's Liverpool supporters. So I'm just here to make an announcement on behalf of ZBFH that we want to appreciate the event that you are having as NASA. So I just want to make an announcement that we are given a small donation of $500, which we are saying let the event be successful. Thank you.
He did not end his statement. He wanted to say it is for the Secretary General. I'm joking. Thank you very much, ZB. I wish the bishop was here. Indeed, this is our expectation from our service providers. We are going ahead with our presentations. One thorny issue in governance in schools that was touched briefly by the Lord Bishop this morning is on school finance management. Finance management is the backbone of of every organization, be it home, be it in the church, be it in the community, be it at school level, even at national level. It has to be streamlined and worked out very well so that we have sound corporate governance. Because we can't talk of governance when we leave out the issue of money. To take us through that very important area is Manicaland Diocese. Over to you. Let's clap hands as he comes. We have had so many ministers of finance, but one most popular was Chidzero.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We know we are running behind our time and we are not going to waste much time.
Don't worry, we've got all the time at hand.
Surely.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm sure allow me to say this. You can talk of academic excellence, but the subject is not complete before you make mention of names in Anglican schools. Be it at district level, we are topping the market share. Be it at national level, you find us there. And what has taken us through to that is what we are going to be sharing here. We have carried some self-appraisal and discovered that we can't move without proper address to financial governance. So I'm here to share what we have done, what we intend to do, what we are falling short of, and then how can we improve from there. So without wasting time, I would want to say welcome to this discussion on the backbone of our operational integrity with the aim of making our financial system clearer, more efficient, and robust. My presentation on this review is on compliance that seeks to ensure governance structure proactively supports our decision making. Before we go further, allow me to take you through on what this animal called financial governance. Financial governance is the framework of rules, procedures, and processes, internal control system used to effectively manage the organization's financial operations, ensuring accountability, transparency, and a strategic alignment with our organizational goals. Now, in an effort to try and address the financial governance, we have identified 4 pillars that has aided us in achieving the best in terms of financial governance. So we're going to be looking at the budget planning, which is the first key resulting area in as far as financial governance is concerned. Secondly, we'll look at financial accountability. Financial accountability. We'll look into the details of it. And then the third pillar is the resource allocation. Some of the issues have been mentioned through It is not going to take us much time in going into details. And the last one, which seems scary, restrictive, and otherwise intimidating, the regulatory compliance. Those are the 4 pillars that we're going to be looking at in as far as the whole presentation is concerned. First, let me go to the first one, which is the foremost, the very best one that will ensure we are getting somewhere, is the budget planning, a family at home. You can't run it in a family without a budget. You can't run a family without a budget. What more of an organization? The budget simply makes you or helps you to be able to control your funds. So it's very crucial to the success of any organization. Budget planning is the strategic process of forecasting future income and expenses in order to create a detailed financial roadmap, typically for the specific upcoming period. And in this budget planning, I want to carry you through the 8 steps that we really need to observe if we are to ensure the success of the implementation in terms of your budget. Let me start with the number 1, which is the setting of strategic goals. I'm sure strategic goals have been talked of here by the previous presenters, where we are looking at a high level long-term goals of an organization. So the first thing is to try and define yourself. Why are you in existence? Where do you want to be in future? It actually defines our future position. And that will be a compass for growth. And that will be the basis of resource allocation. So the setting of strategic goals is very important if you want to come up with a sound budget that is going to be observed and ensure it is paying dividends. So what happens is we are talking of setting of strategic goals. It is from there that we derive objectives at school levels. We derive our financial targets at school levels. And even at school levels, we can't lose sight of the strategic goals that have been set by the Anglican schools. This is where they want to be, this is how they want it to be done, this is where they want to go. And then these objectives will then drive the mission, the Anglican school's mission. Having done that, explained yourself, took yourself to the position where you want to be, then the other processes follows. Then that takes us to the key process number 2, reviewing past performance. That's quite straightforward. We need to know the trend. Where are we coming from? How we have moved from there? What were the successes? What were the lessons we learned from the previous? And what can we do to improve? Then that takes us to the next step, that is the review or the revenue focusing. From the revenue focusing, we go to estimation of expenses. We want to come up with a budget that is all inclusive of every cost that we are going to incur. And let us also, in the estimation of the cost, let us understand the fixed cost and the variable cost. We know the fixed unit cost decreases as we increase our enrollment. We need to understand that as we come up with the budget. Then that takes us to the next step, which is the resource allocation. Resources are scarce. How do we ensure we use them to get more than the nominal value of those resources? It follows the clear definition of where we want to be, the goals, the objectives, and everything, so that the resource allocation is based on the identified priorities. So we still have the eye on the strategic objective. What are the priorities or specialized initiatives that would ensure we meet our goals? And this is where we place our resources. We will move down, and then we will come back to resource allocation as one of the pillars, but in this respect, we are just trying to come up with a clear budget. Having pulled down your resources, you move on to the next, which is draft and review. Draft and review, this involves combining the budget and comparing it with targets and adjust so that you get a balanced plan. Then after that, we move on to the approval and implementation. We obtain management's approval. And that makes it a very important thing that we have obtained the consent of our top management that we are going to be following that route, we are going to be following that roadmap. So we seek the approval, and then intensive communication is to be done so that everybody understands the budget. And then lastly in the process, then we say we monitor and adjust the budget. The environment is so dynamic, things change, priorities change, and as we start, we make continuous reviewing and adjust where necessary. In conclusion on the budget setting, I would say the budget is not an accounting exercise but a tool for driving growth, enhancing revenue, and optimizing spending. The success of which depends on our commitment to the proposed plan and adherence to the budget. So now that's our budget. And it is our budget, not top management's budget, not the headmaster's budget. It should be everyone's budget. However, that's the process of coming up with a budget that really it depicts your intention, your priorities, your ultimate goal. But I want to mention this before I take it further. We have got the biggest challenge that we face in terms of budget preparation. Having gone through that long exercise, we still have to go to the extraordinary for budget meeting or the AGM to try and then deliberate, agree on and pass that through the raising of hands on the figure that we want. And that has definitely affected our operations because definitely they are not going to be as much considerate as you were when you came up with that budget because you went through analysis of all the variable factors that actually affects the business environment. And what do we do given that kind of situation? We had produced a budget that was actually maybe asking for $1,000 per student, and then the raising of hands says you have to come back to $500. But we have to live with it. There's no way we can run away from that regulatory instruction. So what have we done, especially in Manicaland? We have discovered that the budget that comes out through that process is more of consumptive than focusing on structural development. So what do? We have the strategy of trying to make sure, I think in a number of our schools, we have got a special levy that is focusing on infrastructural development every term, every year. That's the only way you can make sure there is a building block that has been constructed, not through the consumptive budget that has been produced through the voting. So that complements our budget, because it's not much inclusive of capital expenditure. Secondly, in Manicaland, we're also looking at actually a number of projects that we have undertaken to try and supplement this consumptive budget that we have together with the special levy that we have for infrastructure development And we have a number of projects. I want to be very specific. It's in faith. We are buying very little things. Otherwise, we are making the revenue revolve around the school. We're not buying meat. We buy from ourselves. We're not buying eggs. We buy from ourselves. We're not buying vegetables. We buy from ourselves. We're not buying pork. We buy from ourselves. And we have tried to make sure the money that we get. So that's how we are supplementing the budget that we are running through in our region. So, right, that's about the budget. That's about the budget. Now we have the budget. In bankrolling this, we move to another pillar, which we call financial accountability. Financial accountability. What is financial accountability? Financial accountability is not about counting money, but making money count. Financial accountability is fundamentally about trust. We need to build trust. Financial accountability is the promise that we make that the financial resources entrusted with us are used with integrity and purpose. Financial accountability is about aligning our strategies to the achievement of our ultimate goal. That's financial accountability. And financial accountability seeks to cover 4 key areas that we need to answer. And then the number 1 is answerability. We have got an obligation to answer to the financial actions that we take. Secondly, the other key aspect is on transparency. It is our obligation to maintain accurate records that tracks to how and why we use the funds in that way. And then the other key aspect is on compliance. We have gone through a lot of stages in coming up with our budget. And meaning to say, we are going to ensure we comply with our budget. So we talk of compliance. Then the last one is on performance. When we come to report, we're not reporting about spending, but we're also looking at outcomes efficiency. Outcomes efficiency. And that embraces the financial accountability. What do we stand to benefit in terms of that financial accountability? Improved decision making. We've subjected ourselves to accurate and accessible financial data, and that gives us room to make informed decisions. And the second benefit that we derive from there is enhanced trust and credibility. We have built the confidence. The stakeholders have trust in us, especially when we want to go back to them and say, may we have some more funds, we want to construct another block. They must have that trust in us. They must have that confidence in us. Then the other benefit is reduced risk and fraud. Establishing financial accountability standards comes up with a number of initiatives that include segregation of duties. And that alone, with those internal control systems, we are bound to deter fraud and detect errors early. Then the other benefit is the stewardship of resources. It ensures that the public funds raised are going to be used for the purpose for which they have been or they are intended to be used for. Those are the benefits that we can derive from enhancing or improving our financial accountability. Now the budget, we have it. And we geared ourselves for financial accountability in all phases as explained. We are now moving on to resource allocation. Resources are scarce, and we need to get more from what we have. So resource allocation, we want to look at the strategies that we can employ in ensuring we make optimization in the utilization of resources. The first strategy is on prioritization and strategic alignment. Let us prioritize initiatives. Let us shift funds in line with boosting our efficiency. We have our stated goals and we know where our strength lies. We know where we reap the greatest contribution in terms of our goal achievement. So resources will be allocated according to priorities that directly support long-term goals of the organization. We place resources where we get the greatest impact in as far as goal achievement is concerned. So that's prioritization and the strategic alignment. Another strategy that we can use is centralized resource management to avoid silos. We need to have a central view of all resources that are at our disposal so that we identify where it is needed most and which priorities to follow. And when I talk of avoiding silos, we try to avoid duplication and some conflicts in as far as departments are concerned. Then the other strategy is skills-based assignment. Looking at our members' team, we need to make sure we are going to allocate these resources, putting the person to the best position that he can contribute best in terms of goal achievement. Some members may be placed at a place where he is not able to put up the best he can. That's mismatch of the skill. So it's something that we need to consider as we apportion resources. The other strategy that we can also employ is the stakeholder engagement. Let us involve everybody in the allocation of these resources. Let us all understand the priorities and the fact that the resources are allocated according to the priorities which are also focused on the ultimate goal achievement. That's about the strategies that we can employ in as far as resource allocation is concerned. Now, we have the budget. We are geared for the financial accountability, and we have allocated the resources. And we can carry out our operations. How do we carry out our operation? That takes us to the last pillar, which is the regulatory compliance. as we conduct ourselves as well as financial activities are concerned. Now let's briefly look now at the regulatory compliance. Regulatory compliance is the adherence to mandatory laws, regulations, and industry standards set by governing bodies to ensure integrity, transparency, and stability. Our goal is to protect the organization from costly penalties, reputational damage, while fostering a culture of trust and transparency. Sounds intimidating, restrictive, and scary. Compliance, just to be called upon to comply, somehow scary. Let's look at what we mean in terms of regulatory compliance, the key aspect of regulatory compliance. We have got the financial auditing compliance. We are supposed to produce our financial records that ensures, in a way that ensures all material facts and figures are disclosed to the stakeholders. So we are actually following up the International Financial Reporting Standards. That is what we are actually doing. And that has made sure we have fostered credibility in terms of our stakeholders by having some positive internal and external audits. And before we move on to internal and external audits, there is something that we call the systems documentation in our schools. The system documentation is the first basis of regulatory compliance, which is within ourselves. The system documentation is a document that narrates how we do our transactions in schools. That has been mentioned before. We are looking at the department raising a requisition, submitting that to the deputy head, procurement receipts, gets quotation, and then after getting the quotation, cooperative schedule is done, then you recommend to the finance, the finance. That is what we call the systems documentation. And that's the number one document that the auditors will be coming to check on. You've expressed that that is how you do your things. Are you in compliance with that document? That's the number one. Then the number two is the established internal control system and the budget itself. You have gone through a lot of processes in coming up with a budget. Would that be a budget that is going to run parallel with what you are doing? So that's the first compliance that you are called upon to. Yes, there are pyramiding of funds, but we need to comply with our budget. We need to comply with our budget. We need to comply with our internal control system that has been carefully set. Then we move on to compliance with the labor on human resources. Compliance in as far as employment contracts are concerned. I think we know in the engagement of our ancillary staff, we need to have clearly defined contracts. Another aspect that we need to be very careful with is we have got fixed and permanent staff. And what do we mean? We have said we're trying to make sure we are not causing some penalties to our schools. But what does it mean when a person is deemed permanent? That's one aspect that we need to look at as schools. When a fixed contract employee is deemed permanent, that means he has the right to claim all that is claimed by a permanent staff. because we have failed to observe the duration of the contract in the renewal periods. And I would also want to highlight in this compliance that I think we are quite aware in terms of employment contracts. If you engage an employee for 3 months, you can only renew that 3 times. Compliance. If you engage an employee for 4 months, 6 months, and 1 year, you can only renew that for 4 times. And a break for 2 months. Compliance. Are we in compliance? Otherwise, if we don't, those people, when they leave, they will claim their shoes. So we need to be aware of that and stay in compliance. Again, vacational leave days, whether fixed or permanent, we are subjected to vacational leave days. Even if you are on a contract, if you work 6 months, you've got 2.5 days per month. So days accrue, but you then not take them until you complete a year. So upon termination of the contract, that person will be entitled to those leave days. Let's stay in compliance. Right? Then let me move on to compliance with government laws. On ZIMRA, we have got the pay as you earn, the collection and remittance. We have got the withholding tax. It's one of the omissions that we have been doing and which we need to correct as much as possible with the withholding taxes. If we give a transaction to or a payment to a person or a supplier who cannot provide a valid tax clearance for more than 1,000 in a year, we are supposed to withhold tax, which ranges from 10 to 30%. Let's stay in compliance along those lines. Then we also have the NASA, the NECI, the ZESQ, we should stay in compliance. And before I conclude, I also need to highlight the compliance on the procurement procedures, compliance with the environmental protection, and compliance with the anti-bribery and the anti-corruption. Summing up, I would want to say compliance is everyone's responsibility. Let us come forward with commitment to enhance and embrace the culture of compliance in whatever we do. I want to thank you for paying me your ears. That's what I have to share with you.
When you talk about finance management, it's all about integrity. It has to do with integrity of everyone involved. I'm sure, Mr. President, you would agree with me that we would need a NASA workshop for our school basers, where we will talk at length about these issues to do with finance management. We are going to set a date for you, not very far from today, so that you exhaust this topic. There's one challenge that I do come across with ladies and gentlemen. The principles we know, but we lack the application. Not that we lack the application, but we don't want to do. We don't want to apply what we know. Because definitely what the bishop has alluded to here this morning, we all know the procurement procedures that are supposed to be followed, but we don't want to apply. We've got all the knowledge, we've got all the books, all the finance manuals, but we are found wanting. Why? Because we have an attitude. That lack of application is becoming very costly to us all. Not wanting to apply what we know. Because if you are a school head, when the Minister of Education is charging you, it's not charging you because you don't know. You know, but you don't want to apply. Everyone here knows about what you are talking about. There is nothing new in Jerusalem that we are talking about here. But you don't want to apply. The application part of it is what is lacking in most of us. Be the senior teachers, be the basers or the account clerks, be the heads of schools, be the rectors and the principals. Putting what we know into practice is just a challenge. It's just like committing sin. We all know that if I do this, I'm committing sin. But you are found doing it. Thank you once again, Mrs. Sanyao, for the presentation on finance management. Thank you, Manicaland. We invite Central Zimbabwe to move a vote of thanks. The Besa St. Patrick's High.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to deliver this vote of thanks to the presenter from Manicaland for such an insightful presentation on financial governance and budget management for school administration. Ladies and gentlemen, these things have been tried and tested. If you are listening very clearly, they were giving examples from Manicaland, St. Faith to be specific. So, the business of the day and the hot topic from this presentation was compliance. Like Dr. Lazarus said, we have the notes, we know it all, but what we lack is we don't have a positive mind, positive attitude to do these things. The presenter looked at about 5 things, which include the budget planning, which he said is a very long process. It's a long exercise, but it has to be done. We have to do the budget planning. Then he moved on to look at financial accountability, while citing the key aspects which include answerability and transparency. He also went on to look at benefits of financial accountability and moved on to resource allocation. We have also learned about the strategies for effective resource allocation. Then he moved on to regulatory compliance. This compliance relates to labor laws, government laws, such as ZIMRA, NASA, NEC, ZESQ, and he also emphasized that as schools, especially bursars, we have to make sure that we are compliant every time. Because whenever there is a headline about any bad thing that happens in a school, it reads St. Patrick's High School, an Anglican school. We carry a brand as bursars, and I would like to thank the presenter. Thank you so much.
All those I have invited to move vote of thanks, I'm going to give you a token at the end of the workshop, because we've done so well. Ladies and gentlemen, as I alluded to during the course of the workshop, we are so much honored and privileged to have among us the District Schools Inspector for Mutare, Mrs. Mademuza. We are key stakeholders in as far as the baby is concerned, the baby of educating the child with the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. It is our mother ministry in terms of education. I would like to invite Ms. Mademuza to share one or two remarks with us. I know her personally and very, very well. I have said very, very well and not very, very much. Ms. Mademuza, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nata. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say. After the other presenter, Reverend who gave a lot of things, said, I'm going there.
Thank you.
You know me very, very well, don't you? You said you put a hand on the head of the school head and pray for him or her. Then ZB gave you $500. And what am I going to give you? Singing every day. Dynamic presenters who were here did not sing, so I thought I should sing so that I may match with the presenters who were here. I would like to respect protocol, the Lord Bishop in absentia, the NASA President, Education Secretaries, clergy, my colleagues school heads, hello. Hello. My colleagues school heads, hello. Hello. Bursars, they're not saying hello, they're not my colleagues. Bursars, hello. Deputy heads, hello. Senior teachers, hello. Thank you very much. Your theme is saying strengthening school leadership for effective governance. Strengthening is a verb. I'm a teacher, so I'm starting to teach. Strengthening is a verb. From which word? Strength. Which other words do you think of? Strong. Strengthening. Strength. Strong. Power. The list is endless. We are strengthening leadership. Which leadership? School leadership. But we have clergy around here. Hello? Hello? Who are also supposed to strengthen what? Strengthen what? Hello? Strengthen what? Let's get one bit. Who are supposed to strengthen?
Leadership.
School leadership. Because they are also in the leadership of the school. Pastors, they are in the leadership of the school. Deputy heads, they are in the leadership of the school. You are the disciplinarians, am I right? Hello? So when it comes to discipline, chaplains are here. They are also leaders. And we are supposed to be here to strengthen leadership, strengthening one another's leadership. I'm delighted to be presenting two colleagues. I'm taking us all as educationists. Despite our roles, our whatever, we've come here for an education conference. It's a conference, it's not workshop. So I'm looking at educationists. And I'm talking to Banaba Bongo Notifuza. Do I tell you are educationists and I'm educating them at the moment. I'm an Anglican born and bred. I'm happy to tell you that I was at St. Matthew's Primary, which is an Anglican school. I went to St. David's Bond, which is an Anglican school. And I'm a DSI, but I'm an Anglican. So I'm Anglican. I will not say this tomorrow because my boss will be here. You'll be looking at a DSI in one of his districts. Hello? So today I'm one of you. So it's Pachet 9. So what I'm saying is I'm saying what I know. And I'm going to tell us, including me, of what we should do. We should strengthen school leadership for effective governance. We applaud such a gathering where iron sharpens other iron from all over provinces coming together, sharing what we are doing in Blawayo, in Manicaland, sharing what we are doing from school A and school B. Primary schools and secondary schools are here. Now we are applauding you. A round of applause. We are in a valuable hotel. Am I right? Hello? Yes. So valuable people are here. In a valuable hotel. I hope you will consider that you are in a valuable hotel and you consider the value for money. We want to go back change to people, like people who are coming from Benedict saying, and it is not Vakotane, my new faces and new tunes of songs. Am I right? New preaching styles. Am I right? We learn every day. So we are learning. I'll start by asking ourselves the word strengthening. Maybe it has been said or it has not been said, but I'll say it. Or I'll ask you, give me a synonym to the word strengthening. Tell your friend. You want to say strengthening, what can we substitute that word with? A verb. I'm saying strengthening. You want to remove strengthening. What can we say?
Tightening.
And whatever.
Enhancing.
Thank you very much. I didn't hear the other bit.
Empowering.
Thank you. I will not repeat shares. I'm not supposed to repeat answers. So listen carefully. Reinforcing. Buttressing. They're saying, making something more resilient. Fortifying. So what are we strengthening? What is leadership? When I came here, someone was saying, leading is being in front and others follow. Am I right? Can you lead yourself and follow yourself and be all by yourself? In that case, you will not be a leader. When you talk of effectiveness, we are talking of producing a desired or an intended what? Result. A desired or an intended result. Then when we say governance, what word comes into our mind? Governance? Yes, sir. We're talking of compliance, okay? We talk of the what of Zimbabwe? Hello? The government of Zimbabwe. You have to talk of governance. So think of the word government and think of the word governance. Whereby we are talking of structures of rules. The presenter was talking about leadership styles, am I right? I'm talking of systems of rules. That's what we call governance. Systems of rules. How we are ruling the school. How we are ruling the department as a senior teacher. How we are ruling the institution as a head. As a chaplain, as an education secretary. We are talking of management at the highest level. If we are to break anything, strengthening school leadership for effective governance. So we are talking of effective governance. We are talking of effective management at the highest level. So if you are being told to go and put the school to rest as a school head, and yet we are saying as a head, you are managing at the highest level. I want to inspire someone before I expire. I want to inspire you before I expire. By saying, you are at the highest level of management at that institution that you are at. Whether it's a boarding school, it's a day school, a primary school, at the highest level. Thank you very much, organizers. NASA. When I saw the abbreviation NASA, I thought of the NASA that the president was talking about. The other NASA. But I would like to say, keep it up. Other responsible authorities are doing it, but not at this level. I would like to give a round of applause. I'm a district schools inspector indeed, with various responsible authorities, but are in a hotel, Golden Peacock, with senior teachers. Most organizations leave these people behind. Senior teachers, hello? Hello, deputy heads, hello? Hello? Thank you very much. They usually leave you behind. They, not these ones. Pesas, hello? Do you want a chimu? Am I lying? Yes, they advise us. Team members by a team who cannot go alone.
Together we stand, divided we fall. I was given 5 minutes. As an educationist, I would like to respect time and to say my boss will be here tomorrow. So if I talk for 20 minutes, then I tell. Finally, may I have someone who understands English, who can speak English? Shona and Debele. Someone who can speak English, Shona and Debele, and I can only speak the two. Debele and Dopa Dopa. Thank you very much. It's a Shona proverb. Sumo. Sumo means. Sumo, what is sumo in the belly? Hello? Right. So let's say right first. All this, starting from the arrangement, from the bookings, from the programming, from the invitations. Rino wadoro tambiswa mudzimu wabudira pambewewe. Doro tambiswa mudzimu wabudira pai. Shona, sorry when I left the wrong problem, but it's about sumo, and I've been educationist. And it's not big idol or thing idol. I think put out at someone in my division. It's even more good big idol. And in this, what do I actually Zangoma? This worker, it is not a good as good as shit over. And it is, but it's got a one moon and deaf and the dump. Trinidad Misachi. 7 days in Tambisa. Saka ira start treated Doro Tambiswa. Kuti midzimino kudire pambewewe. Hello. Idoro Tambiswa midzimu kudira pambewewe. Over to you, my colleague.
Ukudisa ukuthena. Ngabe lidlalisa utshwala. Liphekela amadlozi. Idlozi lakhona seliphumela emvebebeni isimumu.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being bold. Colleagues, with these few words, I would like to say thank you very much and welcome to Tani, not to Manicaland. I'm repeating to Tani.
Thank you, DSI. This is why I know you very, very well. Can I invite Mr. Chimon to move a word of thanks for the DSI?
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good director of ceremonies. Selapana Ekuluma. He was talking about tokens of appreciation. So this is my second time here. So I hope I'll count it twice. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank one of us, the DSI of this district. We are glad she's one of us. We are glad as well that our General Secretary, knows the DSI very well. I think there are no prizes for guessing what subject that she specialized in. I think there are no prizes for guessing. Thank you for taking your time to be with us. We know you occupy a very busy office. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for her.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to put a disclaimer in case I may be misinterpreted. Mrs. Mademsa, I know you very well. In that Baba Ogumba kwao, mwana wakazi amai wako, saka murora sukuru wangu. Atiba aera shumba futi. Uwa mtupo mkuru. Uyeze, ndakamushanda nawo. Tiri mu education kwa mtasa. So I know him very well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of day one of our seminar here at the Golden Peacock. Just to make a rundown to the events of the day, we were welcomed to this workshop by the President, Mr. Mafa, the Bishop of the Diocese of Manicaland, Right Reverend Eric Ruona, unpacked the theme for the workshop. He unpacked it at lunch. He went far and wide, talking about governance in schools. He reminded us that we are private schools. And he reminded us that schools are governed synodically. He reminded us of the ethics that we have to adhere to in procurement procedures. He talked about the role of the Board of Governors and the SDCs in school governance. We had Manicaland, which facilitated a topic on leadership that leads to effective governance. Manicaland gave 3 types of leadership that may be applied in a school setup. The most important thing that the presenter talked about was on which leadership style you may apply when you are running your organization. It depends on the situation that you are faced with. Manicaland Diocese made a presentation on school financial management. The emphasis was on integrity and accountability in school finance management. We are going to send you soft copies of all these presentations through our education secretaries. But allow me to remind you again, ladies and gentlemen, of my sentiments. We know what we are supposed to be doing, but we don't want to apply. We know exactly what we are supposed to be doing, but we don't want to apply. it will be a good thing if we go back to our schools and our schools will never be the same again. I'd like to thank you for listening carefully and for participating evenly throughout the workshop. Tomorrow we are starting at 9 o'clock. We have pushed the one more topic to tomorrow. I'm sure we'll cover up. For our stakeholders who haven't made their presentations, they are going to do that tomorrow. We have a cup of tea and some biscuits outside there. I would like to wish everyone a peaceful night. Those who want to know more about Mutare, and those who want to visit places of interest in Mutare, just inbox me, and I will show you the locations. I know whom I will ask. May I ask General Godoma, give us a closing prayer for the day and also pray for the team. I thank you.
Mazvitatina mati muzita Mwari Baba neMwanakomana noMweya Mutsvene. Tinokutendai Mwari nokutunza panyika ino. Tokutendai neMwanakomana wenyu akamuka kutipa upenyu husingaperi. Tokutendai Mwari nezuva ranhasi nezvautaudzwa zvose zvatadzidza. Tokumbira mutiropafadze mukufamba nesu mukutipa upe dzakanaka nemhuri dzedu dzinamatira nyika yedu teinamatira. Tokutendai kunyange nezvekudya zvatagadzirirwa ngazviropafadzwe nemi ngoropafadzwa vanoshayiwa. Mazvita Mwari kudzwa ngokuwa mbiri muzita raMambo Jesu. Amen.